Welcome to Rewatch and Rank. On this channel, we rewatch older TV shows, provide a summary and opinion on the episode before ranking each episode against each other. Today's episode is Bleach Soul Society, The Rescue Arc, Episode 52, Renji, Oath of the Soul, Deathmatch with Byakuya. Episode in a nutshell is a brief reminder of what happened in the episode. The episode begins with Ichigo narrating how he got to where he is now, and then his Bankai training continuing. We also see little snippets of his Bankai training throughout the episode. However, the main bulk of this episode is a battle between Renji and Byakuya. Renji reveals his Bankai. We see Byakuya's Bankai for the first time. However, as Byakuya says, it's, impressive that you were able to achieve Bankai. However, to actually be able to utilize the Bankai to its fullest because of how much larger it is than a regular sword, how much spirit power and everything is needed, it takes a lot of training to be able to use it effectively. Training that Renji has not yet had, but Byakuya has, because he is already a captain, has been for many years. As such, Renji does end up losing, and he gives everything that he has, ultimately losing consciousness at the end of the episode. And on the bridge, where she is crossing to go to wherever her execution is going to be held, Rukia senses the loss of Renji's spirit power and is upset about it. And then Gin comes walking on the bridge to meet her. And that's kind of the cliffhanger where this episode ends. So now that we've been reminded what happened in the episode, we'll now rank the episode as always. First on our mostly objective ranking list, using set values to determine the score, followed by the personal list, which mostly uses entertainment value to determine the score. So first off, we have 2 points for the resolved battle between Renji and Byakuya. Then we have our multi-arc supporting character growth, and this is the attacks that both Renji and Byakuya use. So Renji, for the first time, reveals his Bankai form, which is Hihyo Zabimaru, which translates in English to Bamboo King Snaketail. Then we have Byakuya, who reveals his Bankai for the first time, and that is Senpon Sakura Kageyoshi, or Vibrant Display of 1,000 Cherry Blossoms. Before he shows his Bankai, though, he does fight with the Kido spells, and he starts with Hado number 33. So Katsui stands for Blue Fire Crash Down. And then Bakudo number 61, Rikujo Koro, which is 6 Rods Prison of Light. And honestly, all were pretty cool looking attacks. And then we have our one negative, which was the recap or setup episode. And that is because the first several minutes of this episode was, again, Ichigo narrating basically from episode 1 to present what had happened in a summarized form, because it did only take a few minutes, but it also was a few minutes that I didn't necessarily need or care about. No offense to the fictional characters' delicate feelings, but I just did not want to know or care about it because I have watched it and my memory is not that bad. So we have 2 points plus point brings this to a 7 out of 10 for the episode. And our arc ranking so far comes to, in first place, Flash Goddess Yoruichi Dances, The Despicable Shinigami, Ishida, The Utmost Limits of Power, Morning of the Sentence, Hitsugaya Howls, Overcome Your Limits, The Avengers, Rukia's Nightmare. This episode is in 9th place, Renji, Oath of the Soul, Deathmatch with Byakuya, then Authentic Records, School of Shinigami, and The Reviving Lion in last place so far. Now, for my personal ranking, I really enjoyed this episode. I always love the battle episodes. They're usually epic. They usually have great effects. There's a lot of crumbling buildings and broken floors and people just slamming into things that would kill any normal person, but coming out totally fine afterwards. Anime fights are always great. They're amazing. They're so unrealistic, but so much fun. And the Bankai for Renji is a giant, giant bamboo-headed wooden type sword thing. It looks really cool and it's huge. Byakuya's Zanpakuto is like literally my favorite. I love how it looks like little petals, and even when he uses his Bankai, then it looks like all these swords that are just like coming up out of the ground. Anyways, I'm inarticulate because I think it's so amazing. And that is why I really enjoyed this episode. However, I do not forget about the fact that the beginning was a summary that I didn't need or want. The training for Ichigo has been going on for a very long time, and he is still at it, and it's starting to get a little bit old. And then the thing with Rukia at the end. Yes, I care about Rukia as a character, but at this point she's kind of useless, and I don't really need to see her at this particular moment. Once she's saved, we'll like that. We liked her before she was captured. We'll like her when she's saved. Right now, she's just kind of walking around tied up. It's meh. So overall, I gave it an 8 out of 10 because wow for the fight, but let's not overlook its flaws. And that ultimately brings the personal ranking list so far to in first Ishida, The Utmost Limits of Power, The Despicable Shinigami, The Reviving Lion. This episode does come in fourth place, Renji, Oath of the Soul, Deathmatch with Byakuya, followed by Morning of the Sentence, Hitsugaya Howls, Flash Goddess Yoruichi Dances, The Avengers, Authentic Records, School of Shinigami, Rukia's Nightmare, and then Overcome Your Limits is currently my least favorite episode of the arc so far. And now we come to the series ranking. And on the mostly objective ranking, Agent of the Shinigami arc is in first with 84%, followed by Soul Society the Sneak Entry arc at 75.24%. Soul Society the Rescue arc is sitting at 88 out of 220 so far. Personal ranking side, we have Agent of the Shinigami arc in first with 63%, Soul Society the Sneak Entry arc at 59.52%, and then Soul Society the Rescue arc is at 72 out of a possible 220 so far. With that, we have now rewatched and ranked Bleach Soul Society The Rescue Arc, Episode 52, Renji, Oath of the Soul, Deathmatch with Byakuya. Like and subscribe if you'd like to, and I'll see you in the next episode.